slides will get put on the slideshow for them.
Hi, good evening. I'm Chris Murray, and I hope you'll forgive me for spreading the geography a little bit to Philly tonight. This is what I'm going to talk about a little bit tonight, a little bit about Bresslergroup, the company, the agency, and consultancy I come from. Try and keep the sales pitch as short as possible. Some of the things that we think are critical to product development and maybe especially relevant to startups, entrepreneurs. And then just a couple of examples of product development that we've experienced. One that was more of a UI software outcome, and the second one that was more of a hardware project outcome. So about Bresslergroup, we've been around for 40 years. The company was originally started by Peter Bressler. We work for a lot of different sizes of clients, from really established global brands to startups. We're lucky to include Dan as one of our clients. We cover quite a wide range of product development activities, from front-end research through to user interface, industrial design development, elements of branding, elements of color, materials development, technical development at the back end, and right through to product engineering. We believe our clients are a healthy mix of consumer, industrial, and medical, which gives us great cross-fertilization. And we've got a great mix of staff. If you looked at us 20 years ago, we would largely have been just industrial designers and engineers. Increasingly, we've got a mix of user interface designers, programmers. We've even got a script writer on staff, I think, currently. And we do have this technical core, which I think makes us better at problem solving and feature building for a lot of our clients, especially in the very technical areas like medical devices. My background, I've got 27 years, seems like a long time now, of both consultancy and corporate experience. I've been in and out of small agencies and consultancies, and corporate experience, mainly between Philips Electronics in the Netherlands and Black & Decker, both in the UK, Europe, and based in Towson for 11 years. I headed up the industrial design team there, and then actually took on board the innovation insights team, which was an interesting 3 years, basically telling the technical team where to go looking for user issues, user problems, and what to focus on in terms of technical challenges. So what do we believe are some of the keys to effective product development? These aren't in any particular order, but we believe strongly in the validation of your idea, both technically and from a user need perspective. We believe speed in the process. We believe in getting all forms of protection you can throughout your product development process. And we believe in building promotion throughout your product development process. So in terms of validation, we see two distinct types of validation going on across product development. And as I said earlier, originally we would have considered ourselves very much a hardware development company. With changes in technology, we're increasingly becoming very much a blend between hardware, software, and applications. These are very much getting blended in the product development that we do. In terms of technical validation, we're really talking about how do you validate that core concept that you start off with from a technical point of view, and how do you validate that you can produce it for the price that you envisage producing it for, and it is ultimately a commercial success. From a user validation point of view, we see different types of research going on throughout the process, both generative at the front end to really discover what the key user issues, needs, opportunities are, and evaluative as you go through the process of developing ideas, developing prototypes, developing mock-ups, and basically refining your product concept. what we see as a pitfall is companies not really budgeting for both. They tend to have a bias towards either technical validation or user validation and don't often get the balance right. Speed, we see a lot of people, big emphasis on acting fast to be first. There's, technology is changing very quickly. We see, it's interesting how many clients come to us and entrepreneurs come to us in kind of time spells with similar ideas. Basically, user trends are generating ideas for products almost simultaneously. So the importance of acting fast and being first, becomes increasingly important. We're big believers in prototyping ideas as early as possible and really leveraging some of the rapid prototyping tools that are now more available and more commercially viable, even for smaller companies than ever before. And what we think that does, that basically it gets you faster development with better deliverables if you're able to prototype at earlier stages through your process. And that prototyping drives more effective decisions and reduces risk in your total product development process. We're strong believers in patents and not only establishing patents and applying for patents, but doing upfront patent research so that you have a very good understanding of the field that you're entering, both from a utility point of view and from a design patent point of view. This used to be very much a hardware-focused space. We're increasingly seeing a denser software patent space. Peter Bressler, our founder, was recently one of the expert witnesses on the Samsung Apple case, where you had two large companies really fighting over both design patents and some utility patents. Obviously, take out whatever copyright protection and trademark protection you can achieve. And throughout that process of product development, we see huge need for promoting your idea at every stage of the process. Basically building that story and adding interest and sizzle as you go through stages of basic building support, building interest, even building capital interest in your product idea. What we find is clients asking us for increasingly sophisticated forms of promotion. What used to be just still images is now videos, animations, simulations even where there's a software or a UI component to a product. And again, what we see is a shortfall is clients not budgeting accordingly for all these aspects of promotion throughout their product development process. So I'm just going to take a couple of brief examples to talk through some of the research techniques that we use quite heavily and how we kind of try and build those into a product development process. This is a kind of high-level view of our user interface design process. And at its core, we have these design activities going on. Firstly, establishing the information architecture of a potential user interface or interaction. Then applying some aesthetic design, basically taking it into some form of interactive prototyping or simulation. Building a firm design specification with the client, and then ideally getting into programming that interface. We overlay this with research activities where we're doing front-end user research to determine what that front-end information architecture should be, doing cognitive walkthroughs with users once we have that information architecture established, and then running into a series of usability tests as we go through that interactive prototyping. And as I said, in the background, we're really doing front-end pattern research to make sure that we're well informed about the field that we're entering. It tends to then get more project specific as the idea and the solution gets more specific and more defined. And then we identify specific patent opportunities if we're trying to work around specific patents that are out there and eventually submit patent applications to the back end. This is an example of a product that just happened to have more of a user interface solution as one of its outputs. We were asked by a manufacturer to do basically front-end discovery for kitchen appliances. So in this particular project, we did fairly heavy front-end ethnographic research. Here we were looking for where were the opportunities across products like ovens, refrigerators, large white goods, for product innovation, feature innovation. So we took 17 passionate cooks across the US with different backgrounds, different ownership in terms of products. And we basically did online video blogs with these 17 users. Typically, ethnographic research takes the form of going into somebody's home and recording them for like a 2-hour time spell. We found on a product like this, doing it via video blogs gave a more realistic and more relaxed user timeline. They could choose when to execute the tasks, as they might do with a food preparation task. And it gave us more geographic flexibility in that we could spread the user base across the US rather than trying to concentrate visits in one geographic space. We gave the users very structured tasks and appliances that we wanted them to talk about. We gave them meals that we wanted them to prepare for. We gave them shopping tasks. And basically, what we did from this was really define what the current design flaws were with the current products and discovered those opportunities for innovation. And we gave them a very, as I say, a very structured task and product script to work through, as you can see on the images on the bottom. From this front-end video blog, we extracted basically detailed persona, design and innovation opportunities per user. So on the left, you're seeing really a breakdown of one user, the kind of current appliances they had, why they bought those appliances, what was their purchase path, the current likes and dislikes, frustrations, needs. There was a bit of a technology focus in this project, so we wanted to know their perceptions to technology in the kitchen, and what they thought their innovation dreams were, what their vision was for these type of appliances. And then just some background to where these opinions came from in terms of their kitchen setup and layout and the current products that they own. From this, we really take this quite seriously and pin up all these user personas, all these user perspectives, and we then analyze for the patterns. What we see first across these users in this qualitative research is patterns where there are common attributes to all these users, and that tends to support the first line of opportunities. Then we see people doing things strange, idiosyncrasies, and that might be an opportunity for innovation. And the other thing we see is task workarounds, somewhere that a product isn't working for a user, but they've got a specific workaround to solve that problem. That too can be an opportunity or a catalyst for innovation. So out of this front-end research, we're basically defining those design opportunities and any actionable innovation opportunities. From this, we go into a series of brainstorming. Can't actually show you the ideas here, but basically at the front end, we get group brainstorms. We like to keep cross-functional teams across industrial design, user interface, and engineering, and basically try and create as many ideas as we can, and then start to filter down, both with the client and through research, start doing online surveys with some of these concepts to try and filter down to some refined final concepts. one of the outcomes of this actual project, one of the concepts that we came up with was, this idea of linking technology that users were seeing on their iPhones and tablets to the actual oven functionality, and just trying to integrate an app, the iPad, and the oven with the whole world of online recipes and cooking. So basically what we were able to do, without doing any programming or scripting, was just simulate on an iPad some stills of app shots that we could basically take users through and get feedback in terms of the usability of this app and the overall appeal of this app and how it might best integrate with some of the features on the oven itself. As I said, we also are hardware designers as well. Often those products become blended between hardware and software, but sometimes they're pure hardware products. If you looked at our product design process, it's kind of similar to the UI process, a little bit different in the middle in that we have these phases of problem definition, concept generation, development, and then essentially prototyping and implementation. But again, we're overlaying it with front-end ethnographic research to discover the opportunities for design improvement and innovation. So smaller scale, smaller numbers of people, very much qualitative output. Moving through to quantitative surveys where we're basically validating what's coming out of that smaller qualitative research with larger online surveys. And then at the back end, doing a full-blown concept test where you're getting a true quantitative read of a very well-defined product concept, a positioning for that product, a pricing. So you're really digging into factors like what is the need, what is the believability, what is the price sensitivity to an actual product idea. And again, underlying this, you have the patent searches to make sure that you're well informed in this area, getting some early attorney opinion on early ideas, basically looking at any risk evaluation of patents that might be near neighbors, and then ideally getting filings at the back end on new and unique ideas. So we tend to run in 3 stages on the product side: define, which is that problem definition phase; develop, which is that middle phase of creating multiple concepts and distilling down; and deliver, which is that back-end engineering implementation. So this was an interesting project because this was very much an individual coming to us. He was a dental practitioner, and he had an idea for a product that would help block pain of injections in the mouth. He had an idea that basically using soothing, pulsing, percussive micro oscillations would basically dull the senses a little and reduce the pain. So he had no product development experience, no company behind him, just an individual entrepreneur. So what we did at the front end with our partner was really dug in deep in terms of user analysis, and very much qualitative again, small numbers of people. We have qualified ergonomists on staff that we were able to go out and do dentist and patient review interviews.
Is that you in the middle picture? No.
Yeah, these are, can't you tell, British team. Basically, just overviewing the typical procedures and interviewing those dentists and patients, getting an upfront opinion and perspective on pain and the usage of an additional piece of equipment in these environments was super important. We then took a technical route, which was basically creating mock-ups, prototypes that would technically validate his idea. And this took quite a lot of engineering development and to basically tune the oscillations, to refine it and make sure that cognitively we were achieving some pain relief validation. And also, to look at this device and say whether we were in the ballpark from a costing point of view. When we took the mechanics, added up the parts, did it look like a feasible commercial proposition? And that was an interesting factor because what we determined from this, that really it didn't work as a commercial model unless there was a disposable element to it. Really, it was kind of similar to a powered toothbrush without the replaceable heads, unless we had a unique disposable head feature on this product that would force the practitioner basically to replace the head each time. So from those early prototypes, we essentially took this product with this particular entrepreneur into work like prototypes for early testing and market approval, going through to alpha prototypes with incorporating induction charging, and then incorporating this disposable head that really made it a more commercially viable product. And in this instance, we actually helped the entrepreneur do his whole quality control and production implementation. So, as I said, we work in very many different fields, from hardware to software. And as I said, we increasingly see a blend between the two. And I think one of the biggest trends we see is this prototyping trend. The tools that are available to us from a prototyping perspective, not just on the hardware side, but also on the electronic side with Fidgets, Arduino, and from a scripting side in terms of Flash, Azure, we can basically build more sophisticated simulations, prototypes that really simulate a working product such that you get very early validation of product concepts and ideas. Thank you.